Noswaith dda, good evening, welcome. Our presentation, as you can see from the screen, will start at just after 6:30. So I'd like to welcome you very warmly to this meeting. We can't see you, we can't hear you, and we can communicate with you then through the Q&A chat facility. So there is an opportunity for you to find the button for the Q&A chat, and you'll be able to send us any questions there. In the meantime, it would be really good to know who's here. So if you'd like to send through your name and say whose parent you are and which primary school your child attends at the moment, that would be really great. So if you could send that through in the Q&A, and that means then we can see that people are here and that you can hear very clearly, and that everything is okay from the technological point of view. So we can see that the number of attendees is going up and up. So if you can find the chat, and then if there are any questions that you think of during our presentation, then you can send them through, and we will have a slot then at the end of the meeting where we'll be able to answer all the questions. So in the meantime, sit back, grab yourself a drink. We're going to start the meeting in a few minutes. A cup of tea is probably going to help you through the meeting. We're not going to keep you longer than we need to, but certainly if you have any questions, use that chat facility, and hopefully then you'll find out lots of information about Bro Edern this evening. That's really great. So obviously lots of you are able to hear because we've had lots of names through. So it's great to see parents from a variety of schools across the cluster attending the meeting this evening. So if you've just joined us, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time this evening. I'm sure you're very busy in this last week of term. So thanks for joining us to find out more about life at Bro Edern, and we hope that you find the information evening really useful. So if you could say in the chat who you are and who your child is and which school that they attend, that would be great for us to see who's here. And then the Q&A chat is also where you will then send us any questions that you'd like to have answered during the evening. That would be fantastic, and that's a good way then of us ensuring that everything you need to know this evening is covered. Any worries you have, any queries, please send us them through. Hopefully we will cover most things in our presentation, but if you send through your questions and your names, and then we can see those in the Q&A, that'd be great. So we give you a minute to do that, and then we'll start very, very shortly.
Noswaith dda, good evening everybody. Croeso mawr, a warm welcome to you this evening to our evening for presenting information for Year 5 parents. Thanks very much for joining us. We've got quite a bit to go through with you. We'll try not to keep you any longer than we need to. So Ms James here, Ms Kerry-Anwen James, one of our assistant heads here by my side here. My name's Alan Williams, I'm the deputy head here, and we're here now to present as much information for you as we can. And Ms James said, if you've got any questions during the presentation, pop them in the Q&A and we will answer them at the end. Okay, now then, we won't answer during the presentation, okay? We can't hear you, so you will need to type them in the chat, but I promise we will answer them at the end of the presentation and make sure that you have all the answers that you need when you leave us this evening. Okay, right, I'm going to hand over. Now you can see a number of words on the right-hand side of the screen there. This is some work that Mrs Kerry-Anwen James here has been doing with our 5 cluster schools. They're looking at the new curriculum, but you can see a lot of important words there, and I let her now tell you about the new logo for the Bro Edern cluster on the left there.
Yeah, diolch, Mr Williams. So this is the logo that we've put together recently to sort of encapsulate everything we do as a cluster. And as you can see, the logos of our 5 primary schools are there in the roots, and you can see the head of the Bro Edern carw deer as part of our logo is there, and then you can see the tree, the strong tree there growing, and the birds with the wings. And there's a quote by the German author and poet Goethe, saying that what children need are roots and wings, and we've taken that as our logo here. They've had really solid roots laid down in the primary schools, and we're looking forward now and taking them on their next part of the journey. We've been working hard on the curriculum for Wales, and the tree on the right includes a lot of really important vocabulary as we're putting that curriculum together. And you can see, once again, the whole cluster is a really important part of what we're trying to achieve here in the east of Cardiff.
Lovely, diolch yn fawr iawn, Ms James. Right, we've got next for you. We've got the results. I'm going back here now to the GCSE results in 2019. Now, the reason I'm doing that is last year was very different, where I'm sure you'll all be aware that it was teacher assessed grades. So we're working under a different system there last year. This year again has been different with the lockdown periods affecting teaching in schools across Wales. Therefore, this year it's not quite teacher assessments. The children have been assessed, but those assessments have been done in schools, and they're not the same as examination conditions. So we thought we'd just go back to the last set of results that we had that were acquired by following the traditional examination process and coursework and so forth. So you can see on the left there, very high percentages there. The GCSE results in 2019, 86% of the pupils had an A star to C. All the pupils in the year sit the Welsh language examination. I'm sure you'll agree that's an extremely high percentage, not the highest that they've had. They've been as high as 89% of the children getting a C grade or better in the Welsh department. English there as well, you can see another great result there, 73%, a very high percentage of children getting their English language qualification there. Maths then, 67%, which again compares very strongly against other schools in Cardiff and in the consortium here in South East Wales. And then science, again, 79% of the children in that year leaving with a C grade or better in a science qualification. Over on the right hand side, we've got some relatively new measures. These came in a couple of years ago. They now do the Capped 9, where they look at the best 9 results of each child. Every grade are given points, and those points then are added up to see what the total score is. 390 is a very respectable score there. We're looking now with the next year that we've got, if we do go back to traditional examinations and so forth next year, we'll be looking to push that through the 400-point barrier there. And then you go down there again, you can see the literacy points, the numeracy points, the science points, and the skills challenge certificate, which is associated with the Welsh back. That's taking an average of the grades for all the children. Each grade gets 6 points, so 40 points means that on average everybody's got a C. Obviously some children have got higher, some are lower, but on average I think you'll agree it's very successful if all the children on average are getting a C grade there. That indicates very high grades which match up to what we've got on the left there. On the next slide now, if I can just show you, we're talking about GCSE results there. So these are the option columns for our year 9 now who are going into year 10 in September. They have actually started their level 2 qualifications already. They do start them straight after the Whitsun half term in year 9, so that we're not wasting any time there. And you can see, you know, in column 1 there, you can see computer science. I was in a computer science lesson last week. I had 2 young students there explaining coding, Cobra, I think they said the name of the language was. It was very much above my head, but they were very impressive in the explanations they were giving me. You can see French, business studies, geography, you can see tourism. We do a mix in our curriculum. We do GCSEs, which will then lead on to AS and A-level qualifications in the 6th form, and we also do some WJC awards, which are equivalent to BTEC qualifications, more of a vocational element to them, so that we're catering for both paths. We're catering for the academic path, but we're also catering for the more practical path as well, for people who are a bit more hands-on and are not such big fans of examinations. You can see there some subjects come up in 2 columns. French this year, that's the first time we've had French in 2 columns, but it's growing in popularity. We have a very successful modern language, foreign language department here. Miss James will speak to you about that in a little while, as she teaches. She was the head of department. She's now an assistant head, but she used to lead that department when it comes to that. The drama, we've got construction, again, more hands-on there. We've got the product design in 2 columns, very popular. Geography and history are always in 2 columns, very popular. So that just gives you a little bit of a taste there. We've even got a salon. We've converted our old caretaker's house up at the top end of the school there into a fully functional salon. So we do hair and beauty as well. We move on then, we look at the A-level results for 2019, and you can see there that 75% of the grades achieved by students in the 6th form in 2019 were C grade or better, C grade up to A star, and you can see that 98.8% of the grades were A star to E. When they study A-levels, it's all grades from E up get you ICAS points for the university, and therefore, you know, an E, a D, a C, these are all valuable grades that add up points to them. So when they then get their offer from the college, the offer will be expressed in a total number of points, and then the grades that the children get will be converted into those points, and then they see if they get their place in the university. We've had a very high success rate of students leaving the 6th form with us here in Bro Edern and going on then to study in university. We've had a number of them coming back recently to visit us as the academic year has come to an end in college. Categorisation here. There is a system within Wales where schools are categorised. Green at the top, then you've got, I can't remember the colours in English, to be honest with you. It's yellow, green, yellow, amber. And thank you, Miss James. Miss James is the resident linguist here with me this evening, so she's helping me out here. Red. And then red on the bottom there. So Bro Edern, we were first categorised in 2017 when we had our first set of GCSE results, and we were placed in the category of green. At that time, that means that the school, the standards were extremely good, and the school has capacity to improve again. We've been green every year since then. They are suspended at the moment due to COVID last year and this year, but so we remain in the green category until they start doing that again. But just shows the standards that we have here and the success that we have had here and are still having here in Bro Edern. Estyn paid us a visit for our first full inspection in November 2017. The school had been going for just over 5 years by then, and you can see there they deemed us to be good for standards, excellent for well-being and attitudes to learning, excellent for teaching and learning experiences, good for care support and guidance, and good for leadership and management. They gave us 2 targets, only 2 targets. One was to ensure that the school governors, who have been extremely supportive of us as a school since we've opened. They wanted the governance to be a little bit more challenging in order for us to be able to raise those standards from good to excellent to outstanding, and that it was the other target, was to raise the standards from good, where they were at this time, to excellent. So we are well on the way. I'm very confident that that's what Estyn will find when they come back here now in the next few years. Now then, I'm going to hand over to Miss James here. Miss James, as well as being the resident linguist specialist to me here, she's also absolutely incredible with what we call the e-learning and the use of technology for teaching and learning. So I'm going to ask her to speak a little bit about you to know what Estyn said about our e-learning and other successes that we've had.
Diolch, Mr Williams. I'm not sure if I can live up to that billing, but we'll try. Yes, Estyn were very impressed with the way that we incorporated information technology seamlessly. That was the thing that really impressed them, that it wasn't a fuss, it was just a part of everyday life at Bro Edern. And you may or may not know, as future parents of the school, that we are a one-to-one school, which means that there is one device for every pupil. So in the first years, the school, through the county and, well, it's now sort of funded also partly through Welsh Government. So originally we funded it ourselves. We funded an iPad for every pupil. By now we've transferred over to Chromebooks, so the current year 7 and 8 pupils will have Chromebooks, and we're expecting a consignment of Chromebooks to arrive in the new academic year for the year 6 pupils who are coming up. So we use them in lessons, we use them for all sorts of things. We use them for our blended learning approaches, and as a result of that, we did have a visit by some people who then nominated us for the Edtech 50 Award, and this is a list of the schools in the UK, the 50 schools who make the best use of information technology within their schools. So, you know, there's not a first prize. The prize was to be part of that 50 list. We went to the House of Lords to get our certificate. It was an exciting day out, a long trip for a certificate. But, you know, we're not doing it for the prizes or for the accolades. We're doing it for our children. And the thing we are most proud of here at the, you know, on the brink of the summer holidays, that can't quite come fast enough, is the fact that in 2021, the pupils at Bro Edern have not missed a single lesson. During the lockdown, you probably remember, just before Christmas, Mark Drakeford announced that we were going into lockdown. The numbers by then of people catching COVID were really, really high. And we came back in January, but we didn't come back. But the Bro Edern pupils logged online and they didn't miss a single lesson until that point when the school was able to reopen. So we taught 6 lessons a day, all day, every day, and there has been lots of talk in the press about lost learning for our pupils, and obviously they have missed out. They have missed out on the social side, and we're not disputing that at all. They have missed out on the opportunity to play sport and all those social things. But as far as their learning is concerned, they had 6 lessons a day. It gave our pupils and our families a shape to the day, a structure to the day, and the learning continued despite everything. So we do make really good use of our technology, we hope, and I think if you speak to existing parents, I think they will tell you that they were very happy with the provision during that time, especially when they started to talk to parents in other schools, I think it's fair to say. So our teachers have they are highly skilled in digital learning, but even over the last year, the skills have gone through the roof and they are really adept now. And if something would happen again, you know, if we are facing further problems, you know, with COVID, rest assured that in Bro Edern, things are in place here for learning to carry on without any interruption. So we have been a pioneer school in Welsh Government's eyes for quite a few years. We were originally part of writing the digital competence framework, and following that, both Alan and myself here we were part of writing various curricula. So I worked with the languages, literacy and communication curriculum as a languages teacher, and formerly I've also taught Welsh in my time, and Alan here worked with the health and well-being curriculum, developing that as a brand new curriculum. So we've been at the forefront really of all the new developments with the curriculum for Wales. We were filmed today. The Welsh Government has come in and spent a whole day with us filming our teachers, and also the cluster primary heads and deputies about our cluster working, because we are really leading the way with the curriculum here in Wales, and they wanted to use us as a case study, so we're really proud of that, the fact that they want to use us as a case study, and then that video and the information will be available then for other schools in Wales to emulate and to look at how we've got together as a cluster to cooperate and to write the new curriculum. So there are loads of extracurricular opportunities here in Bro Edern. So I'll pass back to Alan now, who will start, and then he'll pass back, and we'll carry on like that.
Yeah, so at the top, we've got the physical education. We've got football, we've got netball, we've got basketball, we've got rugby, we've got gymnastics, we've got swimming, we've got indoor rowing. We've got pupils who come in at 7 o'clock in the morning to train in the gym that we have here. There's a badminton team, any sport really that you can think of within reason. We compete and we take part. We're great believers in ensuring that people at all level of sport get an opportunity to compete and gain confidence there. We've just appointed a new rugby officer for the school last week. Mr. Milsom, who's been doing that job for the last few years, is coming on as a full-time teacher with us. So we've appointed a new rugby officer last week, who'll continue the good work with children of all ability there with the rugby. He'll be going down to the primary schools and so forth. We do a lot with Cardiff Met just behind us over here. We use their facilities, the AstroTurf and so forth. We've had some coaching sessions with them. Some of the students come down here as a part of their course in order to gain experience. So they come down and they do some coaching sessions with our children here. So many opportunities. Tying in then with school trips, there's usually, under normal circumstances, there's a skiing trip that goes every year. We've had a trip out to Australia, to Belgium, to France, for all kinds of different cultural visits there as well. Obviously, at the moment, we're not conducting any trips abroad. We will start with some trips within the United Kingdom, possibly start planning next year for the year after, but these things will slowly get up running again. Now, we do every year as well. We've got a very successful foreign exchange programme going, and I'll hand over now to Ms. Kerry-Anwen James here, who's a fantastic German and French teacher. She's very multi-talented, as I'm sure you've already picked up this evening, for her to speak to you a little bit about those foreign exchanges.
Yes, so we are really fortunate or mad at Bro Edern to run two foreign exchanges. So we have an exchange with a school in Nantes, as you probably know, from the Boulevard de Nantes in the middle of town. Nantes is one of the twin towns of Cardiff, and we have we were contacted by a school in Nantes when we opened, because they were looking for a partner school, and they were very excited about the fact that there was a new Welsh medium school opening in Cardiff. So it is a bilingual school, the Collège Rutiliano. They teach French and Breton there, and obviously the situation of minority languages in France is always interesting, to put in inverted commas, and they look to us for inspiration really of everything we achieve here with our bilingualism, and they look, for the inspiration of their Celtic cousins really. So that is really an important exchange for us and for them, and it brings lots of benefits for our children from visiting that really nice area of France in southern Brittany. And then the other exchange we have is with Grünstadt in Germany. It's on the Weinstraße, which is the wine street, the street of wine. It's in a wine growing area. There are vineyards everywhere. It's a really beautiful area. It's not too far from Mannheim and Heidelberg, which is a really famous university town. And we take our pupils there, and the Germans come back, and that's a really fantastic experience. for our pupils. They roll out the red carpet. They're very happy to see us arriving in Grünstadt. So we're waiting further instructions about when we would be able to restart something like that. We can't see it happening anytime soon, but once it is possible for us to go abroad without much trouble and for us to stay in other people's houses, you know, you can imagine the obstacles, the COVID obstacles. We've also got Brexit obstacles, of course. And the rumour is that the French and German students would need a visa to come over now. So we'll have to work all of that out. But we're really excited about the fact, hopefully, that there is, you know, there's an opportunity for us to restart that. We've really missed them in the department over the last 2 years. Another thing that we take very seriously here at Bro Edern at public speaking competitions. We think that some pupils really benefit from the opportunity to speak publicly. The English Speaking Union is a group that arranges such competitions every year. We had some pupils who did really well in that during lockdown. They had to do an online competition this year. But, you know, here at Bro Edern, the fact that we've had to do things digitally online, you know, life has gone on. Everything we've been able to do online, we just have carried on doing it. There are opportunities as well to do public speaking competitions in Welsh. And then pass back to Mr. Williams now, who will talk to me about the science and technology competitions. There are a number of these that pupils are able to take part in each year.
Diolch yn fawr, Ms James. Yeah, both the technology and the science departments are very keen to give the pupils opportunities outside of the classroom to be able to develop their skills and really to develop their enjoyment of those subjects. So they do compete in a lot of different competitions. If you follow our technology department on Twitter, you'll have seen a number of Year 9 students today doing very well in the Formula 1 competition and racing the cars that they've built there. We've had recent success in the first Lego League as well. And a couple of years ago, Mr. Thomas, the head of technology, arranged for a student, Claire, to come over from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, just outside Boston in the United States. She came over and spent 3 weeks with us. She was teaching the children here. She was doing projects with them. She was a fantastic role model. She worked with a group of girls here who were possibly lacking confidence in science but had a great interest in science, and she did a lot of fantastic work with them. The chemistry department, I know they're planning to go down to Swansea University. They go annually for a competition there and take a group of students. You know, there's been an astronomy club here, all kinds of different things going on with STEM here. You can see on the bottom there the UK Maths challenge. A number of the students in the sixth form with us now are doing maths and further maths. The maths department extremely successful with pushing these pupils. Coming on next to the arts, you can see we have a number of lessons here. They can have singing lessons, piano lessons, harp lessons,
strings, woodwind, brass, drums, guitar.
All kinds of different things. We have a choir every year. They compete in Eisteddfodau and local competitions. They perform at local venues. We've had great success with drama. I was in the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama a couple of weeks ago, and I ran into 3 of our ex-pupils who have just completed their first year there, and they were telling me that hard to believe, but the 3 of them have just been cast in a programme on S4C, which will be screened early next year, and they're busy filming that, so having absolutely fantastic success. A number of concerts. We always do a Christmas concert, which is a wonderful evening at the start of December. We always do a concert going up to the National Eisteddfod. We always have a number of competitors going through from the county Eisteddfod, so we do a concert in the school before we go, and then depending where we are, it doesn't matter if it's North Wales, West Wales, here in South Wales, we always go, and we always have a large number competing, and we've had a lot of success with a lot of our pupils on the stage and getting in the top 3 in those competitions. We do a show every 2 years in the hall here. Oliver Twist was the last one that we did pre-COVID, and it was an absolutely fantastic show. We've done Greece and the shows as well. I've mentioned the Eisteddfod there. We've got the school council. Pupil voice is very important here. We've got what we call a forum for every year in the school, where pupils within the year are elected to the forum, and then they represent the other students in their year. They bring their suggestions or things that they'd like to do in the school, and they discuss there. Then members of those forum there are elected onto the full school council, and then that's where they discuss, they filter down what they think the good ideas are, and then they will go on then to present those to the senior leadership team here at the school. We've just that they've been going on a lot during the last year. I think they've had a lot of time to think during these lockdown periods in COVID, and a lot of things that have been going on in the world have triggered a few thoughts with them, I think, and their current thinking is to do with equality. They would like to improve a number of things to do with equality in the school. So they've formed a group called INDOT. They've just done a presentation to the leadership team. They've just done a presentation to the governors, and they've had a go ahead now. The sixth formers within this group are receiving training for the first time on Thursday in order that they're going to be able to work on matters of equality within the school, which we're really proud of. That, the children have come and told us that is something that they want to focus on with their work during the next year. Now then, we're going to go on now to the next slide to discuss the next list of opportunities with you. Squad Sgwennu, a very successful literature programme that runs every year with pupils from Bro Edern, working with pupils from other schools on, they bring in a guest writer for every session with them, which will do sessions with them. I'll go spelling bee over to Miss James here again, the spelling bee with the modern foreign language departments.
Yeah, the spelling bee is a national competition held here in Wales, where the pupils are spelling in year 7 in French or in German, depending on which year they're in. So the year 5 pupils will start with their transition language lessons in September. So your children in year 5 will be doing French in September. I have to keep track of which language I teach in which year. So French in September, and it'll mean in year 6 then they will start with French and carry on with French in year 7, and then in year 8 then everybody will start German as well. So they'll do French in year 6, 7, 8 and 9, and then pick up the second language then, German, in year 8 and 9. So we're really proud here in Bro Edern of the fact that all of our children have the opportunity to learn both languages, whatever their ability is. And also it means then that all pupils have the opportunity to take part in the exchange or the exchanges. So that is something that happens, and the spelling competition happens then in year 7. It's a really demanding competition, really difficult, I have to admit, but historically we've done really well in that competition. And then the Duke of Edinburgh Award, I'm sure you're familiar with that. So Mr. Milson, who was our rugby officer, is going to be moving now to coordinate the extracurricular activities and the outdoor activities. So he will be coordinating the Duke of Edinburgh Award from September. And then Mr. Williams has already mentioned Steddfod yr Urdd. And then we've done a lot of work with Cardiff Met. So we use their facilities, we've already mentioned that, but also we've done some other projects with them. Yeah,
we work quite closely with the psychology department up in Cardiff Met. We did a health and wellbeing project with them about 3 years ago now. And as a result of that, the school was invited out to Alicante University to present what we'd done with the work there on health and well-being. We're working with the psychology department at the moment on a project called Positive Psychology. It's the use of positive language in order to motivate and inspire young people. We've started this term and we will continue. We've done it with one group in year 7, and when we return in September, we'll be doing it with all the groups who start with us in year 7. We worked in the past with Cardiff University. We worked on a smoking project and the effect that that has on young people. The Urdd we've mentioned, they do a lot of work with us with regards to helping with sporting activities and so forth. Lots of opportunities as well with the arts to take part in. A number of our children took part in the show when the Eisteddfod was in Cardiff Bay, which was wonderful to see. Sport Cardiff, a very good friend of Bro Edern, do a lot of activities with us here. We compete in a lot of competitions. I mentioned the indoor rowing and the badminton competitions and so forth that we've had great success in with Sport Cardiff. And then the Healthy Schools Network. We've had several awards with the Healthy Schools Network. We're going for the next level now in September, and the children, their input in that and their voice, learner voice there has been a massive, huge help in order to ensure success with regards to getting those awards. We work then, the more able and talented, we're a part of the Seren network, where a number of students in the sixth form are given a number of opportunities that they take advantage of, guest speakers, competitions, projects, support that they can receive, and so forth. Some of the pupils have been mentored in order to ensure that they fulfill their potential and go on to follow the path that they would like to follow there. A lot of those activities are extracurricular. They will be done in the evenings and so forth. And great to see, you know, a number of, we've got a couple of students this year going on to study medicine, and they were telling me how much they've benefited from being a part of the Seren network. Ms. James, the school improvement groups, so you're heavily involved in leading on this. If I hand over to you here.
Yeah, so the school improvement groups, we've had one looking at the Seren network over the last year or so, and it's, you know, teacher input from different departments, then looking at how we put this provision together to ensure that the most able and talented pupils in our school have the best range of opportunities, really. So it's really important that we have input from lots of subjects so that the range of activities reflects all the different interests of the pupils at Bro Edern. And then I pass back to Mr. Williams now. We work really hard for our pupils who have additional needs, and as you can see, the first thing there is the fact that there is support for all.
Yeah, Mrs. Powell, our additional learning needs coordinator, works extremely hard. She's got a large number of support staff there now who do a lot of interventions and give a lot of one-to-one support to some pupils. The name of the additional learning needs area of the school is the Cwtch, which I think says it all, really. It's a lovely environment to go down. A lot of the children, they feel really safe there. They feel that it's a place that they can go and they can get the support that they need. Sometimes, you know, we all have a bad day from time to time, and sometimes some of them, you know, they just like to go down break time and dinner time and so forth and just have a bit of a time out and a little bit of time to themselves, a little bit of quiet time. A number of interventions go on. There's ELSA, there are interventions in order to raise confidence, there are interventions to help people socialise better and develop those skills. You've got the literacy and the numeracy interventions. They're very, very good at identifying the pupils and young people's needs, and then planning then how can they work with the young people and work with the families in order to make sure that those needs are met and those young people make progress. We've also got a school counsellor, Elaine, very, very good there. There is a waiting, quite a long waiting list. I think it shows how much the children trust her and how much they want to speak to her. She's very, very good. She's with us every Tuesday and every Thursday for the whole day, and a number of children like to access that support. And the same as well with our two school nurses. They visit us on a regular basis. A lot of children choose to speak to them. You know, sometimes I think they find it easier rather than speaking to a teacher, or maybe rather than worrying members of the family, they like to speak to somebody who's detached from whatever's worrying them, and that's lovely to put their minds at ease. Got figures for you here. These were the figures that returned. 64% of year 11 last year returned to our sixth form. It was 60% the year before, so it's a figure that is growing annually and will grow again this year, and shows the success that we're having here at Bro Edern in giving those pupils a path onto their level 3 qualifications. 168 pupils started with us in year 7, September just gone. It was 180 the year before, and 180 is the maximum number of pupils that we can have into year 7 during any one year. So you can see we either hit the 180 or we're very close to it every year now. So it is important that people make sure that they've got their application in on time. You can see the date at the bottom of the screen there. It is the 4th of November. No, I do apologise. It's the 22nd of November. I do apologise for your applications being in. So what we're doing on the 4th of November is, if all goes well, and things are easing with the COVID restrictions and the number of cases, we'll be inviting Year 5 parents into the school here on the evening of the 4th of November. We'll open the school up. All departments will be here putting on different activities so you can get a real good feel of what we're about here at Bro Edern, and then you can feel that confidence when you're making your application to get your child a place with us for the following September. Now then, advantages. I've got friends who have asked me, they don't speak Welsh, but they have put their children in Welsh medium education. I've dealt with a number of parents over the years who are obviously naturally a little bit wary sometimes. You've obviously all made very, very good decisions already to put your children in Welsh medium education, and I think that's a fantastic decision, because even though the odd parent will worry, well, I can't help my child and so forth, I think you'll find that the children are very, very good at translating work and getting that help from parents when it's needed. I'm a chemistry teacher. That's my main subject, even though I do teach maths and the Welsh back as well now. But chemistry is my main subject. I've taught a number of chemistry students over the last 30 years and taken great pleasure in seeing so many of them going on to be medics and dentists and vets and so forth. Some have studied, they've all studied their A-levels with me and the school in the medium of Welsh. Some have gone on then to train as doctors through the medium of Welsh. But the last student I had who went on to do that told me that he did the majority of his course through the medium of Welsh. There were a couple of units he couldn't do, but I believe now it may be just one unit that's not available in Welsh, or possibly the whole course is available through the medium of Welsh now. I've had other students who've studied with me through the medium of Welsh and got great grades at A-level, and have then changed language going into university, and no problem at all. They've coped. I think being bilingual certainly helps you process things far quicker. We've got some pupils here who are trilingual. We've got at least one pupil here can speak 4 languages, and I know the more languages you've got, the quicker you certainly process things, and it has never been an issue with anybody I've been associated with in education when they go on, if they do decide to study through the medium of English at university. It has never been a problem there. Obviously, by studying in a Welsh medium comprehensive, they're already getting an extra qualification, which is the Welsh First Language GCSE, which I think is fantastic that they're getting that. I was speaking with Miss James earlier on. She's been doing some work on cognitive benefits of working in 2 languages with her specialism in German and French. So if you'd like to step in here, Miss James.
Yes, of course, Mr. Williams. Our pupils start, on their journey through the primary schools. They acquire 2 languages. They come to us then, and then obviously they have different ways of processing information. They have 2 reference points in two languages, and it will help them learn further languages. But also you think of things like the language of science and the language of maths. It has been shown that the fact that pupils are bilingual, it really helps them in their journey to learning other things. We have the girls in upper 6 this year who study German A-level with us. They're all going to university to study modern languages. They're carrying on, and they've done 4 languages in their time going through school, and they're now going to study French and German, a few of them at university, or either French or German. So we're really proud of the fact that that head start with 2 languages has given them the best start in life. And of course, to go back to the slide before, Welsh First Language is a different qualification and is a higher level qualification than you would get in an English medium school. Obviously, the qualification there would be Welsh Second Language, and obviously that is not the equivalent of the qualification that they would be sitting here. And at the very beginning of the slide, you could see you may think, well, they're not first language, we don't speak Welsh to them, but you can still see the percentage of pupils who are acquiring that qualification at that level here in East of Cardiff, something that we're really, really proud of. Also, the benefits of Welsh medium education. We try to find all possible opportunities for your child to speak Welsh outside the classroom, and there's a massive variety of extracurricular activities within and outside the school, and that includes sporting activities. The opportunity just to do things naturally through the medium of Welsh on a day-to-day basis is something that's very important to us.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Miss James. Yeah, I just remembered here when Miss James was speaking there. Miss James arranged a few years ago now, Erin Hopwood, who I believe had lectured to you or taught you in university, Miss James, came in to speak to the children and us as staff regarding being bilingual and so forth. And she crystallised it for me, to be honest with you. I was raised in a Welsh-speaking family, so I've always taken being bilingual for granted, to be honest with you. But what she said on that day that really hit a note with me was being bilingual is like having a vision out of two different windows, and you do see the world in two different ways. And you know, I really do agree with that. There are words I mentioned earlier, that's our additional learning needs department. The area is called the cwtch. You know, it's a very Welsh word, isn't it? You know, and a cwtch is very different to a cuddle. I think only the Welsh can cwtch. So I think, you know, the power of language and how much it enriches your life is just priceless. So I just think, you know, it's wonderful that we've got so many pupils here in the east of Cardiff who are going to be leaving school at 16, 17 or 18 years old, and they are going to be fully bilingual, and they're going to have those two different perspectives. They're going to be looking out in the world through two different windows, and I think that's going to be a massive, massive advantage to them. You know, you don't need me to tell you, you all live in Cardiff, you all know there are a number of job opportunities due to the fact that you speak Welsh. You know, you're going to be increasing your opportunities by being bilingual, and you're going to be able to try for some jobs that some people won't be able to try for. So that's a massive advantage. We've already spoken about the pathways through university. You can go and study your degree through the medium of Welsh its entirety. I mentioned to you that I was down in the Royal Welsh College recently and saw some of our ex-pupils doing extremely well down there, and I know they were telling me the fact that they had been able to apply for the Welsh language scholarship to get extra funding for their time in university was a massive, massive benefit for them. Right, we've spoken about the support for the pupils. Parents, well, what about us, Mr. Williams? What support is there available for us? We're fully aware, both Ms. James and I do duty out on that gate at 8 o'clock in the morning. We see a lot of the parents dropping off, and we know it's the start. Well, they're a couple of hours into a very, very busy day by the time we see them there, and we know then that they're whizzing off to work and so forth. So I think a number of our parents have said how grateful they are that the school is open from, you know, most people, I'll be honest with you, arrive around 8 o'clock, between 8 and 20 past 8, but the school is open at 7 o'clock, and we do, I think the current earliest pupil we have at the moment is 10 past 7. Two pupils dropped off, they come in, they sit up in the hall there. Breakfast is available, the canteen is open before they're able to buy a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a piece of toast or something like that. But I know a lot of parents have really appreciated that at the start of the day, that they know their children can get to school here at Bro Edern early, and they are safe and they are taken care of. Equally as important to a number of parents is the end of the day. Again, some parents choose to pick up, or some parents like their children to stay after school and get their homework done. So we do have a homework club. I do apologise, we're not running it at the moment because of COVID, but we are looking to get it back up and running. It has run right since the very start from when we opened the school, and it will recommence next year now when the restrictions will allow us to do so. It's open every evening till 5. It's manned by a member of staff. The member of staff there is obviously there to help them with homework and so forth. I'm sure you'll forgive us, but we do close it at 4:30 on a Friday evening to allow the member of staff there to go home at a reasonable time. Yeah, so a question that we have very, very regularly is whether there's breakfast club at Bro Edern, because we understand this is a contentious issue in some primary schools. So the answer is yes and no. So the school is open from 7, and breakfast can be bought in the canteen. So that adds up to a breakfast club of sorts. It's really flexible for you to be able to send your child in. They can come and sit quietly in school from 7 o'clock. So it's not a breakfast club per se, it's a breakfast club through the back door. Okay, so one of the things that we have to support parents as well and pupils is the Class Charts app that you will be able to download on your phone and keep a track of your child's day. You'll be able to see all the great things that they do in green, all the not quite so great things that they do in red.
and everything in grey if you're colourblind. So you will be able to use this in order to keep up with your child's progress in school and see what's going on. This was really important during the lockdown period for parents to see the work that they were doing online. So that's a fantastic thing for communication between the school and the parents. So this is an example of how it looks for the parents, an example of how it looks for the pupils. So that's called class charts, but there are also lots of other things to support parents and pupils, including departmental drop-ins, different departments hold different activities during lunchtime, but also there are lots of resources to support learning on the Chromebooks. We've mentioned that one-to-one. We are a one-to-one school here in Bro Edern. So your child will get a Chromebook when they arrive. They won't have this on the first day, but we will ask parents to come and collect them, to contribute towards the insurance, to supply a safety bag for them to keep them safe. That's something we're introducing this year, where they will need a protective case, but you know, the hundreds of pounds is something that you as parents are not going to have to spend. So there is a support website with all sorts of facilities and all sorts of resources, and also obviously through Google Classroom, lots of things there to support your child's learning. Communication at Bro Edern is something that we take very seriously. So the @Bro Edern is the handle there for our Twitter account. We also blog regularly. If you're a parent, you're probably thinking, why do they send me this blog on a Saturday morning? But the answer is because it's written late on Friday night, and then that is really, rather than sending letters out, you know, letters in the bag, they never arrive home. So we send a blog out with the communication, but also for you as maybe future parents, if you don't already have a child here, the transition website, pontio.broedern.cymru, is a really good place for you to look for information there, uniform and buses and all sorts of things, what they need in their pencil case, all sorts of information about life at Bro Edern, really from the perspective of a Year 7 pupil. So pontio.broedern.cymru is the transition website. If you put www.broedern.cymru, that will give you our school website, and the question has come here through the chat. The school website is something that we started in the middle of the lockdown, so last summer, in order to be able to put everything in one place. It's something that we've been working on for years, our website, and not a section of it has gone live yet. And one of the things that we haven't been able to finish yet is the policy section. So a parent has asked here for a copy of the school policy. So I suggest that you email Mr. Pritchard, the headmaster. So that's ipritchard@escobroedern.cardiff.sch.uk. So I'll put the address in the chat for you now. If you want a specific policy, then you can write to Mr. Pritchard, and he will then be able to send you a copy of the policy. They are something that they are being updated all the time. They're being updated with the governors all the time. So we are aware that that section needs to be completed on the website. Another question we've had here in the chat, so thank you for sending the questions through. So if you do have a question, remember to put them in the Q&A, Q&A section. Is one for you, Mr. Williams. So is there going to be transport, free or paid, to children travelling from Splot, Adamsdown and Tremorfa? And I know this is something that you've been on the case with for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been waiting. We've had a number of children coming from Ysgol Glanmorfa to us for years now. It's been absolutely fantastic. But this September coming now is the first time that Glanmorfa is officially a part of our cluster, and we've been working closely with them this year. So we have been pressing for a couple of years now, but the answer we were getting from the local authority was that there wouldn't be a service from the Splot and Tremorfa area until Glanmorfa was officially a part of our cluster, which they are now. So the good news is that yes, there will be a service. The 815 will run from Tremorfa and Splot, and it'll run up then along Rover Way. It'll run down eventually through St Mellons and do a pickup there and come back up to the school then. It will start, I think the first pickup will be 7:20, which I know is early, but in order to fit everybody in, they're going to have to start early there. Now, with regards to paid or free travel, you qualify for free travel if you live 3 miles or more away from the school, and that's as the crow flies. Therefore, unlikely from anywhere in the Splot and Tremorfa, Adamsdown area there, that you're probably going to be within the 3 miles, so you will have to pay. They charge £2 for a single ticket and £3 for a return. So it's obviously more economical to buy the return ticket if you're coming to school and going home on the bus. You are able to purchase a seat on the bus. You can pay for a term, you can pay for a year. Obviously, I think the longer you commit to, the more the price comes down. But obviously, if you're not going to be using that bus every single day, you need to be careful when you're considering if you're going to do that. A lot of our children as well in the Splot and Tremorfa area, Adamsdown, they do catch the service bus. Now, it might work out that it's better for you, it's cheaper for you to buy an IF card, and that's less expensive than going on the NAT bus. And also it might work out that they don't have to catch the bus quite so early, as the service bus will come in on a more direct route to the school.
So in reply to these questions, also, if you go to our website, which is www.broedern.cymru, the current bus routes are there on the front page. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can see the current bus routes. But as Mr Williams has just said, the 815 route is going to be extended, and we are awaiting the graphic for that. But once we have it, that will be added to the website. And for the person with the query, it was an anonymous query about the policies. I've just popped Mr Pritchard's email address here in the chat for you. So it's i.e.pritchard with a T at ysgolbroedern.cardiff.sch.uk. Okay, so that's there for the parent who's making that inquiry. So I think we've nearly come to an end, Mr Williams. So just to remind you of the important date.
Yeah, so make sure you get your visitors on the 4th of November. We're extremely hopeful that evening will be able to take place. So please make sure you visit us on that night. Make yourselves known to us. Okay, Mr Alan Williams, Ms Kerry and James. We'll be on the door when you arrive, so come and say hello to us, introduce yourselves. It's an exciting time. Your children now in year 5 going into year 6 in September means that they'll be starting with us in year 7 in September 2022, which will be our 10-year anniversary. We opened in September 2012. We can't believe that 10 years will have gone by then, but obviously we'll be having a lot of celebrations during that year, and you as parents and your children will be a big part of that. So very much looking forward to having you all as a part of the Bro Edern family. So we'd like to thank you very, very much for joining us here this evening. We hope that the information has given you a good, clear picture of what Bro Edern is about. We're a very friendly school. We believe in taking care of each other. We're a very tight, close community, and we greatly believe in giving the pupils as much support and as many opportunities as we can in order for them to develop into fantastic young people who will go out and make their mark on the world. So we're keeping an eye here now. We can't see any more questions coming through, so thank you very, very much for those 2 questions that we've had. We'll just give it a few seconds now, just in case another question pops up, but it's not looking likely. So we will just say diolch yn fawr iawn to all of you for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful to be able to present a picture of the school to you, and we very much look forward to seeing you now when we get an opportunity during the next term. So diolch yn fawr iawn, nos da, thank you very much.
Nos da.